Hey, ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher. I didn't say holla. That's going to piss some of you off. I'm really sorry. You can leave it in the comment section about how much I just don't care anymore. I've lost my passion. Well, in fact, I'm here to talk about Mr. Nightbane. Yeah, I got the mount. Pretty cool. I thought, I didn't realize at first until I started getting grats. And then I thought maybe it's really rare. And then I could trigger a load of people because they know I don't care about mounts. And apparently everyone, one person gets one per run. So I'm okay with it. It looks pretty cool. I always wanted Nightbane as a mount a long time ago, but now I've got better mounts, so it's kind of fun to finally get that in the bag. I didn't know we could do this. I actually did this on Monday, and this is coming out on Thursday when I'm in America for BlizzCon. So, I just wanted to say, what a fucking tremendous end to Karazhan. I was really glad we could go back in and get this done, because we cleared Karazhan, not knowing about Nightbane, and then the next day people was like, oh, there's Nightbane, and you can do it. And with all the bugs with it resetting and stuff, we could get in there and all the bosses respawn, but obviously you don't get any loot, so we like speed run through it. And the way you do it, if you're not sure, is you click the crystals after each boss. There's one like after the Opera event, there's one near Maiden, but you don't need to kill Maiden. There's one at Morose, but you got to kill Morose. There's one in the Spider section, and then there's one inside the Curator. So at that point, you get to go and do, if you speedrun that, you get a buff that keeps adding like 6 minutes to a timer. So after that, you can go back to where Nightbane originally was, for those of us who managed to do some Nightbane in TBC. And then he'll do the whole thing. Weirdly, though, they've cut out the cutscene where Nightbane goes over the cliffs and comes back. That's not there. They've still got a lot of the RP with Medivh, but they cut out the bit where the dragon goes over to the cliffs, because he's like burning to death, and then he comes back as Nightbane. And I was really profoundly confused as to why they left in all the jibber jabber, but cut out the cool bit where he comes back. He just, like, appears. What a great end to Karazhan. I do agree with a lot of what people are saying, is that the items that are dropping overall in Karazhan, like the 850 stuff, just isn't worth. Which I think they'll buff. I think they are going to buff that, because it's not worth compared to the difficulty. It was hard for me to appreciate it, because obviously my character's like 870 odd, and it was pretty easy. Like, once we actually knew what we were doing, we were killing things before mechanics were ever a problem, or abusing the healer's mana. So we found it really, really stupidly easy. However, going on alts, yeah, is this enticing to guys who don't really want to raid and doing mythic dungeons? Is this hitting the target? I don't think so. As great as Karazhan is in design, which it is, it's astoundingly good. The rewards don't seem to be there yet, but there are some cool rewards. It was nice to see that Nightbane actually, I think our Warlock got a 890 chest piece out of Nightbane, which is pretty swag, right? And you get all these buffs, and there's a ring quest to get doing. They've put so many carrots in there. I just think they need to up the base item level to get in there. In terms of Nightbane himself, though, quite a nice switch of design from the original Nightbane. So if you don't know, Nightbane was an extra boss originally in TBC, and you had to do rather large quest lines to get the urn of Nightbane. I still have it in my bank, which was used to summon Nightbane as this extra boss that you needed to do. And I think you needed to do it as part of the quest to get Tempest Keep. I think it was part of the Tempest Keep questline was to ultimately kill Nightbane along the way. And you got some higher item level loot and stuff like that. And he was difficult. It was difficult. So to put some context to it, it's like a history lesson, because I love this boss, is obviously Karazhan was 10 man. But your guild raid size was 25 in the Burning Crusade. So what we had was 2 Karazhan groups and a third one which would take everyone else with alts and stuff. But we had 2 groups, but one of the groups really struggled with Nightbane, and it came down to Holy Paladins, actually. Holy Paladins had to tank Nightbane when he was in the air, because he used to throw fireballs down at the floor. And what the Holy Paladins could put on Righteous Fury, which was the tanking sort of stance, essentially, and then pull all the aggro from Nightbane through spam healing. So you would have the other healers stop healing and then spam heal with the Holy Paladin, and that would gain aggro in order to get all these fireballs just onto one guy, so you can control where the damage was going. It wasn't just AoEing the fuck out of everybody. So they obviously don't do that. They switched it up this time. So he does go into the air, but now they focused on ads on the floor. So I had a group that was anywhere between 880 to 870. I'm the lowest geared in the group. I think I was 868 at the time. And we wiped a couple of times here. I'm not going to lie. We got into 9% or 10% on the first pull, and then I thought we'd go in and smash it, and wiped at about 11%. Somebody forgot the debuff. There's 2 debuffs that have the exact same icon. I don't know if you know this. There's two debuffs with the exact same icon. One of them you do one thing with, and the other one you do something completely different. So that got confused at about the 11% mark, and we wiped again. And then we did that weird thing that we always do in raiding, where it's like you wipe it like 80%. And then suddenly you start checking things out, like, what the hell is this? Why am I dying to this? We nearly killed this thing. And then we killed it, which was fine and dandy. We killed it really easily once we'd worked out all the bits that we'd obviously just ignored for the first 2 pulls and just brute force past. Which was really nice, actually, sorting out positioning and stuff. But what I really liked is the coordination this fight requires. It's really cool. I love that they've managed to take what is essentially such a tiny little platform and then base it on mechanics that you had back in the Burning Crusade, and then just modify them and switch them in a way to suit 5-man, but be a real fucking difficult challenge. And it is a really difficult challenge. And the loot it's dropping is certainly more worthwhile than the rest of the dungeon. So Nightbane is a good incentive. I think the rest of the dungeon needs to be brought back up to that. But God, this was so cool. And what a great way to end it. I think for anybody who is doing sort of 5-man progression, which is a very real thing in Legion, Karazhan is such a fucking wonderful place. I know I've already done a video on it, but to include Nightbane into there was so awesome. And to bump up his item level and then give you these really weird procky items. Apparently he drops really good relics because he's not in the dungeon journal, is he? Nightbane's not in there, so we couldn't work out like one of the things that was killing the tank at like when we started wiping at 80%. We couldn't work out where it was coming from, but we had a guess and we think we were right on that. But overall, as a if you've got a team of friends that you're doing your 5-mans with, this is a great way to end it. A really solid way, and I just hope they do so much more with this in the future. Anyway, there you go, Nightbane. If you want to see some quick tactics for Karazhan, I'm going to do a video when I get back from America on like quick ways of getting through Karazhan, because I think some groups are struggling with various mechanics. Alright guys, I'll see you again. Bye-bye.